Tonight's the night. And it's going to happen again and again. Has to happen.
You know that feeling when you close the tab, turn off the screen, and immediately feel empty? Not satisfied, not fulfilled, just hollow. Like you just gave away a piece of yourself and got nothing in return. And then, maybe an hour later, maybe less, you feel that pull again, that urge, that voice in your head saying, just one more time. Sound familiar? Because what most people don't understand about lust addiction is this. It's not really about pleasure, it's about escape. And that changes everything. Let's talk about what's actually happening in your brain. Every time you give in to lust, your brain releases dopamine, the same chemical that makes you feel good when you eat, exercise, or accomplish something meaningful. But here's where it gets interesting. Your brain can't tell the difference between real accomplishment and artificial stimulation. It just knows dopamine equals reward. Do it again. And this is where the trap begins. Because unlike natural rewards that take effort and time, lust provides instant gratification, instant dopamine. No work required, no risk, no rejection. And your brain? Your brain loves efficiency. So it learns fast. Think about it. Why would your brain push you to pursue real connection, real intimacy, real accomplishment, when it can get the same chemical reward in 30 seconds? It wouldn't, and that's exactly what happens. Your brain starts to rewire itself. Neural pathways strengthen, habits form, and before you know it, you're not choosing this anymore. It's choosing you. Carl Jung talked about something he called the shadow. All the parts of ourselves we don't want to admit exist, the desires we're ashamed of, the impulses we hide. And when it comes to lust addiction, the shadow runs deep. Because lust isn't just about physical urges, it's about all the things you're not dealing with. That loneliness you don't want to feel, lust covers it. That inadequacy you can't face, lust numbs it. That anger, that fear, that shame you've been carrying for years, lust gives you a temporary escape from all of it. But here's the brutal truth. The shadow doesn't disappear when you ignore it. It grows. Jung said, "What we resist persists." Every time you use lust to avoid your real emotions, you're feeding the shadow, making it stronger, giving it more control over your life. And eventually, you're not just addicted to the behavior, you're addicted to the escape itself. And this is where things get dark. Because lust addiction doesn't just happen in isolation. It creates a cycle, a brutal, destructive cycle that keeps you trapped. It works like this. You feel bad about yourself. Maybe you're lonely, maybe you're stressed, maybe you just had a hard day. So you turn to lust for relief. And for a moment, it works. You feel good.
Slowly.
You feel alive. You feel something. But then it's over. And the shame hits hard. Why did I do that again? I'm pathetic. I'm broken. I'll never change. And now you feel even worse than before. More lonely, more inadequate, more ashamed. So what do you do to escape these feelings? Exactly. You turn to lust again, and the cycle continues. This is what psychologists call a negative reinforcement loop. The very thing that's destroying you becomes the thing you need to survive the destruction it causes. Who hasn't felt stuck in a pattern like this? But here's what really breaks my heart about lust addiction. It promises connection, but it destroys your ability to connect. Think about it. Real intimacy requires vulnerability. It requires showing up as your full, imperfect, messy self and allowing someone else to see you. But lust is the opposite of vulnerability. It's completely self-contained. You're in control. No risk of rejection. No need to be seen. No chance of being hurt. It's intimacy without the intimacy. And the more you rely on it, the more terrifying real connection becomes. Oh, you have something to hide, something you're ashamed of, something that would make people see you differently if they knew, so you isolate. You keep people at arm's length. You build walls. And ironically, the loneliness that drove you to lust in the first place, it gets worse, much worse. You end up in relationships where you're physically present but emotionally absent, where you're going through the motions but never really connecting. And inside, you feel like a fraud, like you're living a double life, because you are. Now, I'm not telling you all this to make you feel hopeless. I'm telling you this so you understand what you're actually dealing with. Because lust addiction isn't a moral failure. It's not about being weak or broken or defective. It's about neural pathways. It's about learned behavior. It's about your brain trying to protect you from pain in the only way it knows how. And here's the thing about the brain. It can change. Neuroplasticity. The brain's ability to form new connections, to rewire itself, to learn new patterns. But it takes time. and it takes consistency. And most importantly, it takes facing the things you've been running from. Dr. Norman Deutsch, one of the leading researchers in neuroplasticity, found something crucial. The brain doesn't unlearn old patterns. It builds new ones that eventually become stronger than the old ones, which means recovery isn't about fighting the urge. It's about creating new neural pathways that give you better options, new ways to deal with stress, new ways to process emotions, new ways to connect with people. But this only happens when you stop feeding the old pathways and start building the new ones. Because if you only address the behavior without addressing the root, you're just putting a band-aid on a bullet wound. For most people struggling with lust addiction, there's something underneath, something that happened, something that hurt. Maybe it was childhood trauma, maybe it was emotional neglect, maybe it was sexual abuse, maybe it was growing up in an environment where emotions weren't allowed, where vulnerability was weakness, where the only way to cope was to shut down. Dr. Patrick Carnes, who pioneered the study of sexual addiction, identified what he called the 4 core beliefs of addiction. I am fundamentally bad and unworthy. No one would love me as I am. My needs are never going to be met if I depend on others. Sex is my most important need. Does any of this resonate? Because these beliefs don't form overnight. They're built over years, through experiences that taught you that you're not safe, not loved, not enough. And lust becomes a way to self-soothe, a way to feel worthy, even if just for a moment, a way to meet your own needs when you believe no one else will. But it's a counterfeit, a cheap imitation of what you really need. There usually comes a moment, a breaking point. Maybe you get caught. Maybe you lose someone you love. Maybe you look in the mirror one day and don't recognize the person staring back. For some people, it's hitting rock bottom. For others, it's a quiet realization that this life you're living isn't actually a life. And that's when the real question appears. Is this who I want to be? Not can I stop? Not am I strong enough? But who do I want to be? Because recovery isn't just about stopping a behavior. It's about becoming someone different, someone whole. Jung called this individuation. The process of becoming your true self, integrating all the fragmented parts, facing the shadow, accepting the darkness and the light. And it's hard, really hard. You'll have to feel all those emotions you've been avoiding. You'll have to sit with the loneliness, the fear, the shame, the anger. You'll have to grieve for the time you lost, for the relationships you damaged, for the person you could have been. But on the other side of that grief, freedom. Real freedom, not the false freedom of giving in to impulses, but the freedom that comes from no longer being controlled by them. So what does recovery actually look like? It's not one dramatic moment. It's 1,000 small decisions. It's choosing to feel uncomfortable instead of escaping. It's reaching out for help instead of isolating. It's being honest about your struggles instead of pretending you're fine. It's learning to sit with urges without acting on them, understanding that feelings are just feelings. They come, they peak, they pass, and most importantly, it's addressing the real needs underneath the addiction. The need for connection, for belonging, for purpose, for meaning. Because here's what they don't tell you. You can't recover from lust addiction by just removing lust from your life. You have to replace it with something better, something real, authentic relationships, meaningful work, creative expression, spiritual practice, physical activity, things that actually fill the void instead of just covering it up. And yes, you'll fail, you'll relapse, you'll fall back into old patterns, but that doesn't mean you're back at square one. It means you're human. Recovery isn't linear, it's messy. It's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, sometimes 1 step forward, 3 steps back. But every time you get back up, you're stronger than before. Every time you choose differently, you're rewiring your brain. Every time you face the pain instead of running from it, you're healing. You know what real freedom looks like? It's not being controlled by your impulses anymore. It's looking at a trigger and feeling nothing. Not because you're suppressing it, but because it genuinely doesn't have power over you anymore. It's being able to be intimate with another person without shame, without hiding, without that voice in your head telling you you're not enough. It's waking up and not immediately reaching for your phone, not immediately looking for that hit of dopamine, not immediately trying to escape yourself. It's being present, fully present, in your own life. And here's the beautiful thing. When you stop using lust to escape your emotions, you start actually feeling them, the good and the bad. And yes, the bad is hard, really hard. But the good becomes incredible. Joy feels deeper. Connection feels more meaningful. Accomplishment feels real, because you're not numbing yourself anymore. You're alive. So I want to ask you something, and I want you to really think about it. How long are you going to keep running? How long are you going to keep choosing the temporary escape over the permanent freedom? How many more years are you going to give to this addiction before you decide that you're worth more? Because you are worth more. You are worthy of real love, real connection, real intimacy. Not the counterfeit version, the real thing. But it starts with a choice. Today, right now. A choice to face what you've been avoiding. A choice to ask for help instead of trying to do this alone. A choice to believe that change is possible, even when everything in you says it's not. If you're struggling with this, if any of this resonated with you, write in the comments, I choose freedom. Let's see how many people are ready to start this journey. And remember, you don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to take the next right step. One decision at a time, one day at a time, one moment at a time. That's how freedom is built.